Good evening, parents. Good morning. I would like to welcome you to a new year. My name is Ted Howell. I'm principal of the school, and we want to thank you for choosing Christian education for your child. We look forward to partnering with you and to teach your child not only the academics but spiritual development. It is critically important that this investment that you've made, how it will affect your child's life, and we really take it seriously about teaching and training your child the academics and the spiritual development. It is one of the most important decisions that you can make and one of the most important investments that you can make. And it provides a spiritual foundation that a child will not get in public school and maybe even in life. We want to partner with you, training and teaching your child what you have teaching at home so that we have a similar background and similar foundation that's being built. And we pray that God will bless your family this year. And we have a request of you that you would pray for your school this year so that God knows that we are about promoting his kingdom work. A couple things I'd like to talk to you about is some important issues that we face each year, and I want you to kind of have a good heads up. Most of you, if you're returners, you know what we're talking about. You understand the need for these activities to be done in a correct way and in a timely way. So first of all, our starting of school is at 7:55 in the morning to 3:15 for elementary and to 3:20 for secondary. Students, or parents, it's never too late to teach your children good conduct about being present on time and being ready to go when they get to school. One of our biggest problems that we have each year is tardiness. And so we would like to include you, parents, of really getting your children here on time. So it's going to take you getting up early and getting them child ready in time. You need to practice that before we get the school started because the traffic that you'll be getting up in the morning, and then even a week later when public school starts, that traffic will be even more difficult getting here. So the tardy bell rings at 7:55, and if they are tardy, then they need to come to the office to get a tardy slip. Please do not just send them to the classroom. They need to come to the office and get a tardy slip. 3 unexcused tardies equals 1 unexcused absence, and that can affect a child's eligibility as far as getting exempt from finals in high school, and it can affect their grades eventually because they're not in school on time. We allow 3 tardies per student each semester, and so we give them 3 free ones, no matter what the reasons are. What you need to be concerned about is the weather and the delays that you can encounter coming to school. Traffic lights being out, and we try to work with that when we know ahead of time. We have been notified that these kind of accidents or occurrences happen. We will work with that. But 3 free tardies, and then after that, tardies 4 through 10, depending on the grade level, will result in detention, and it's in the morning before school. We do not do detentions after school. Our teachers have to tutor and prepare after school, so we try to do all these tardies conditions in the morning. Each tardy after 10 will result in a Saturday class. Again, these are usually for older students, but that will result in Saturday class. When students get 15 tardies, they can receive a suspension, and a parent conference is required. A suspension for our school can be an in-school or out-of-school suspension. It also can be with grades and without grades. It's one of our most serious disciplines that we give children. A suspension that is without grades means a student has to do all the work that's required, but they receive zeros for the work. So basically you have paid for a free day of school and your child gets a 0. And it's a very serious offense when we get to that level. Each year we have had students that have had more than 20 to 25 tardies, and that's not acceptable. Please work on those areas of getting here on time. The next one is attendance, and we have 2 or 3 areas of attendance I'd like to speak to just real quickly. First of all, we have excused absences. An excused absence is in our handbook. If you have a handbook, it should be on page about 26. And it involves a death in the family, medical or dental appointments, personal illnesses in the family, quarantine, or weather conditions that may make travel unsafe. We usually make determinations on weather conditions through the news and what we see with other schools doing. We will contact you. But those are the reasons that we have for excused absences. We need a doctor's note if it's required. If the student has been absent for 3 or more days, they need to bring a note from the doctor. Otherwise, they need to bring a note from home so that it confirms, written by you, why they were out. And they will be given an opportunity to make up work. The next kind of absence is our unexcused absence, and this is any other circumstance that we defined from the excused absences. So parent permission is not an excused absence. And so if you just tell your child they do not have to go to school today or they can stay at home, that is not an excused absence. It's an unexcused absence. An unexcused absence means that the child will still make up the work. They're still required to make up the work to stay current with their curriculum, but they receive zeros. No credit will be given for the work dismissed. We just reserve the right as administration to determine whether an absence is excused or unexcused. Unexcused absence is defined as a suspension, and so that's the reason they get no makeup. Checking out students out of class early or for convenience sake is not an acceptable reason for absence. If you get here 10 minutes early and you want to check them out just so that you can get out of the traffic, that's not an excused absence, and we do not encourage that unless it's for a medical or doctor's appointment. Again, any student that's absent 3 or more consecutive days will be required to bring a note for medical documentation. Going back to how we count tardies and absences, if a secondary student arrives 15 minutes or later in the classroom, that's considered an absence. If the student arrives before 15 minutes, but after the tardy bell, it will be considered a tardy. So if you're absent 15 minutes of the class, it can be counted as an absence. For elementary students, if you arrive at school after 11 a.m. or leave before noon, that attendance will be marked as a half-day attendance, not a full day. And half-day absence will not be considered for perfect attendance. One of our goals for all students at all levels is perfect attendance. And we have students every year that reach that goal, and so we want you to do that. Obviously, sometimes you cannot because of illnesses. We have another type of absence, and this one we need to really pay attention to. We have difficulty getting this news out to everyone, but it is on page 27, and that is pre-planned absences. And we know that parents sometimes go on trips or vacations occur during the year, or there's a reason that you're going to do it. It's specific. So what we ask you to do is to send in a note 2 weeks ahead of time to the planned absence. And if that is done in time, then we will excuse that absence while they're out. And what happens is that if you send that in, then we give the note to the teacher, and all the work is done before they leave, if possible. Obviously, maybe a test or something may not be made up, but all the work. And so if you do it 2 weeks out, the teacher has to have time to prepare the work for them that they will miss, and they try to get it all completed before they leave, mainly because you don't have to study or do homework while you're on your vacation or on your planned activity. Some teachers may allow you to make up work after you return, but that is up to the teacher, and but the day that you return, that work is due. So if you come back and it's not completed, it will result in a 0. It's the responsibility of the teacher, it is the responsibility of the parent to initiate this process. And sending it in on time is critical. If you send it in 2 or 3 days before the activity, we may not and are not obligated to give you an excused absence on that. But even though these absences are planned, they still count as an absence. And students will lose their privilege for exemptions or finals. But they do have the opportunity to make up their work. So the main understanding of that is that it does count as an absence, but it is an excused absence. And if it's planned out correctly, then you can enjoy your vacation more appropriately in time planned. The next thing we'd like to talk about for just a moment is our uniforms. You need to make sure that you look over the uniform list in our handbook and make sure that you're on target for the expected uniforms in our handbook. Some uniforms change each year, but we've stayed pretty close. Our uniform provider is the Uniform Superstore, and we use the French Toast brand of uniforms. And some are varied from that. The high schoolers can use Dickies for the boys and girls, the materials that doesn't fit through French Toast. This year we also are adding for our junior high girls and our high school girls to wear Parker skirts. And guys, what we need to understand on this, last year's skirts that girls wore did not fit properly on most of the girls, not all of them. But we're trying to make a transition, and we need your support on this. And we're giving this a new opportunity to try out a new dress for the girls. Now, Parker is not something that is a close by, so I believe you can order online. You may have to contact them to clarify exactly how you acquire it. But that is a more appropriate dress for our girls. And where parents were asking and girls were asking that last year's skirts that were inappropriate or too short, even though we allowed you to finish the year in them, that they would not be worn again this year, even though that you wore them last year. And so we need your support on that in trying to get this in. We allow you a lot of flexibility on the things to wear, and we may add a couple of other garments. But right now, this is what our uniforms is designed to be. So we need your participation in that. And lastly, guys, I'd like to say we have a fundraiser twice a year. Usually it's the cheesecakes in the fall and golf tournament in the spring. And one of the things that we are asking so much to do, guys, is that we make our tuition very affordable. And that helps keep your tuition down a little bit. It doesn't mean it's cheap, but it's more affordable. If we do not have these fundraisers, which help support purchasing other things that we need that come out of the budget, then we would have to raise tuition more dramatically. And some other schools you can check with around here, theirs are much higher than ours. So when we have a fundraiser, we're asking that you participate in that fundraiser and be a part of promoting our school and trying to get the funds raised. So if everybody participates, it's not near as difficult for us. Only when we get where there's only 20 or 30% or 40% participate and others don't. So please help out when we do have these fundraisers. Be a part. Be proactive for your school. Pray for our school. Understand that Satan is trying to destroy the school that your child is at. And so we need your prayer. You need to pray for your child. Be a proactive parent. If you have problems that we can help address, we want to be a part of that. That is our partnership. We take it very seriously of teaching and training your child, so we need you to be a part. And also, we'd like to ask, and this is a personal thing, but ask, that we do not have any parking lot posses this year or any year. If you have time to talk in the parking lot with friends for just a few moments, fine. But staying in the parking lot, speaking for 25, 30 minutes, not saying that there's anything wrong, but is a policy that we like to ask of you is to move quickly after you leave the school building. And lastly, for the 7th and 8th grade parents, we're sending out an email. It's come out just last couple of days, and we sent it out last spring. We had about 24 of you agree to it. We wanted to have a Washington, D.C. trip for those students, and it's going to be during spring break, so they don't miss any school, but I know it'll affect your vacations maybe. But if you would like to participate in it, it is a great place, and it has a lot of activities for these kids to see. Maybe you don't have an opportunity to go on your own at times. We will need a couple, 2 or 3 parents, but we'll have to determine how we'll select those to be sponsors and guides. But we sent out an email. We need to get that. It's a $100 registration fee right now. And if you would like to purchase travel insurance, you can add that. That's $75, and that protects your money in case the trip got canceled in any ways. Otherwise, you could lose that investment. But we need to get that started, that $100 in the travel fee if you want it immediately, or if you will call the school and let us know about it. It's not until the spring, but we have to have reservations and get everything underway. So, guys, we're looking for a great year. We're looking for our gymnasium to be open. It will probably be in October, maybe December before it will be fully functional. But we may ask for some help in times in there to help get things organized and ready. And so be praying for that. We'd like to get that open. And if you have any friends that you'd like to recruit for your school, you remember you get a $100 referral fee. We'd like to have fill up all of our classes. So, guys, we're looking for a great year, and God bless you and your family. Thank you.